face-to-face. So if you show up next Friday and you say, oh, hey, I was here and I saw your class, what's going on? Maybe he can give you an introduction to somebody else, who can give you an introduction to somebody else. That's what it takes. And in Lincoln, that web is so much smaller that you're going to get connected to resource so much faster.
I've lived in Hong Kong, I've lived in Silicon Valley, I've lived all over the place, and I made a conscious effort to come back to Nebraska because I feel like you can build things here, and you can be connected so much easier than you can anywhere else in the world. And I would say over the last 5 years, again, the amount of startup density, the amount of resources that are available. I mean, even 3 weeks ago, this was not open. So these types of opportunities were not there. And so I'm really excited about what's happening here on the Silicon Prairie. I wrote a blog piece for the Wall Street Journal last week talking about that. And there's plenty of talent here in Nebraska. There's plenty of opportunities here. It's just raising your hand and saying, I want to do it. And so hopefully there's some good folks in here that raise their hand because we need it, and I think you have an opportunity to actually build something special here.
And we're not getting paid by the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in New York, and I've lived in a whole lot of places in the country, and it's just a real nice place. And I can understand when you're 20 years old, you can't wait to get the hell out of Lincoln. That makes sense on some levels, but you'll find out that the more you travel around, there's a whole lot of good stuff here, and you can actually breathe the air, which is not a bad thing. And you don't have to worry about being shot.
That's true.
When I lived down in Louisiana, I'm not joking, almost every night on the TV news, there was a report of a shooting in town. And it happens here once a month, once every other month, so.
I'm from Pennsylvania, and I moved here and did not have a job, did not have any leads on job. I thought, oh, this is going to be awesome. I started volunteering through that network. I found a job within a month and a half, I was going to say, of moving here. That job led me to at least 3 other volunteer / community gigs, which, introduced me to a network of people where now, even though my boyfriend knows a lot more people in his department because he sees people every day at school, he knows all of his professors, the other grad students. When we go out to eat, I'm the one who can find 5 people in a restaurant that I already know, and I haven't even lived here for 2 years yet. So that might be a little bit trite if you are a native to Lincoln or Omaha or to Nebraska, but this is a really nice-sized city to cut your teeth on and kind of get a hold of how this business is going to go. You can throw out all those statistics about startups failing and how many percentages of them are going to fail. This is a really forgiving town to fail in versus if you're going to go fail on the West Coast or on the East Coast where after your business fails, you're not sure where the grocery money is coming from. Right here, you have so much more ability to bounce back that, go to other places, great, but you're not going to find the same kind of community that you find here in Lincoln.
And I've already told them that I want them to leave and then bring it all back, as far as the good things that they see in other places. So if you stay here, then you don't really appreciate what you have here until you've gone. So do go and check it out. But I'll be back. Several I've done. So I'm always, the chamber doesn't like me very well because I do tell them to leave.
Well, they put study abroad in other places.
But they'll be back. So. All right. Any other whatever? What time are we? I want to make sure we're not late. What is it? 2:35. And what time did you say for that? We got a long time. Okay, good. All of a sudden I was like, wait a minute. Okay. I have some things that I want them to share with you. If you have specific questions, I don't want to end up taking that away from you either.
What are the monthly membership fees, or how are we able to use this space if we're interested?
Daily fees are $20 a day. If you sign up for, if you buy 4 day passes at a time, it's a reduced rate of $50 for those 4. Our lowest monthly rate is $125, and for that you can come in during our open office hours, which is 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Plop down at any desk that's open. We've got coffee tokens for the mill downstairs. We've got 10 a million times better internet access than the mill does. You have access to the conference rooms to some degree. And then the next level up is a dedicated desk, which is, we call fully fused. For $250 a month, you have your own reserved space where you can leave your stuff here, you can leave your computer, locked storage, all that kind of thing, so you kind of have a place to set up on a more permanent level. But you're welcome to stop by anytime to co-work. Honestly, when we have our Friday afternoon clubs, that's a really nice time to come a little bit ahead of time and work for a while. And that's fine with us. We're not going to charge you for showing up at like 12 and just hanging out until the party starts. That's fine.
You know, what we're using the space, Big Plate is doing a lot of programming for Fuse, and I think that's, again, coming back to the community aspect. It's not just about, you know, having a space to work in, it's about what else you can learn and who can you bump into and things like that. So every Friday between now and March 1st, we've got an event here in basically the lunchroom. So we'll have a speaker, we'll bring in a particular video and have a discussion all about startups or things along those lines. So look for those things, look for the Friday afternoon clubs, the open coffees on Thursday mornings down Crescent Moon. There's just a lot of ways to get connected, so you really have no excuse for not raising your hand and saying, I want to figure out how this might work with me.
I'd say in terms of the rate structure, I can understand, you know, being a student that these, you know, we're trying to keep the rates really low. It's about half of what co-working, you know, on the coast would be, you know, I think. But if it sounds high, you know, and you have an idea you're working on, or you're collaborating with someone on something, and you would like to do something here, the guy to talk to is Brian, I think. You know, he's with his new accelerator program that he's starting, because that includes, you know, time here.
So if you get accepted into the accelerator and motion, our office is here. We'll have a headquarters here for the whole year to again run programming and things like that. But the program itself runs from June to end of August, and any team that gets accepted would have free access to the co-working space for their teams as they're building their projects and building it out.
That's super. And again, when they talk about what your space is, and you might, before you leave, they have tables over here where you are actually renting the table, is what you're doing. And then there's other tables, and these even are stand-up tables for people who like to stand and work instead of sitting and working. So it just is really just a
plans to bring in more tables.
There's couches.
There's this big conference room and 2 small conference rooms on the other side of it.
There's another question?
Yeah, is that New Tech thing open for students or just graduate students?
New Tech Ventures itself is a private nonprofit entity that works with professors primarily, but we work with students. We work with, if you literally had an idea and you walked up the street and walked into New Tech and it was something that we could get patented and there'd be a value to it, we would help you through that potentially. So the professors have to work with us from the standpoint of if they create something using university funds and things like that, then they disclose that to New Tech, and we try to find ways to commercialize that for them and give them a piece back and give the university a piece back. So that's how that works with New Tech. NMotion is going to be a separate entity. New Tech is helping to start it and kickstart it, but it will be a separate entity in of itself. So it will be potentially student teams. It could be teams from 2 guys at Nelnet who want to get out of their cubicles and actually start something, or 2 alumni from San Francisco who want to come back to the community and build something. You can apply for that and go through that particular program.
Can you mention Pipeline?
Pipeline's another kind of accelerator type of program. It's designed for companies that are a little bit further along than like NMotion. NMotion is really that really early stage, seed stage, idea stage. But once you get up and going, you have maybe a year or 2 under your belt. Pipeline's a program. It's run out of Kansas City, but it's a regional program where, again, you apply for it. and they put you through a year-long process, introduce you to mentors around the country, and try to take you to the next level. There's last year we had 3 teams from Nebraska selected out of the 12. And this year we have 5 teams out of Nebraska that have been selected. So it's a great learning opportunity. And again, I think it goes back to the idea that you can build things here, and the resources and all along the path, no matter where you are, whether you're starting it or you're 2 years in or 5 years in, there's resources and people and dollars and everything else that you need to keep that going. Where it's not as easy to access in other cities, or it's more competitive to do so.
And can you mention about the Rake School?